I'm providing a clear, technical, and concise framework to explain, first, how do you get an OFAC license? And second, what changes with the opening announced by the United States today? The measure was released on January 29, 2026. 1. What is an OFAC license and why is it so important? OFAC administers sanctions. If an operation involves a country, a sanctioned program, SDNs, blocked entities, or a USA nexus, meaning USA clearing, a correspondent bank, insurance company, firm, United States citizen, servers, United States services, or anything linked to the United States, the transaction may be prohibited unless there is authorization. That authorization comes in two formats. One, as a general license, a blanket permit with conditions. If you fit exactly within the text, you don't ask for permission, you operate and document. And two, as a specific license, a tailored permit case by case requested from OFAC, when there is no applicable general license or your structure falls outside the limits. Point 2. What opening did the United States make on January 29th with General License 46? And what is that General License 46 not? On January 29, 2026, OFAC issued Venezuela-related General License 46, authorizing certain activities involving Venezuelan-origin oil. Basically, it expands the possibility for established U.S. entities to buy, transport, store, refine, and sell crude of Venezuelan origin under conditions without having to request individual exceptions for each operation. Most importantly, what does it enable in practical terms? General License 46 aims to unblock the trading, shipping, and insurance chain, port services, allowing what is ordinarily incidental to those activities, freight, P&I, port terminal services, when the framework complies with the license. The typical red flags, and pay close attention here, although the full text governs, in media coverage and official documents, it's repeated very clearly. For example, that it's not a blank check for new investment or new production, if that falls outside of what is authorized. Chevron-like style. Trading yes, CAPEX expansion no. Restrictions on counterparties, no-go countries. According to reports, exclusions linked to Russia, Iran, North Korea, and Cuba, and also China, appear in some press analyses. This is checked against the license text and the current FAQs. Limitations on payment terms. OFAC usually only tolerates commercially reasonable payments and prohibits creative structures, debt swaps, crypto, outside of what's allowed. A translation into trader language is that GL46 opens the door for you, but the deal killer is still A. Who is in the chain B? How it's paid? C. Who insures D? Where and with which banks it's settled? And E. What exactly you're doing, trading versus investment or versus production. Point 3. How do you get an OFAC license? I'll explain it step by step as if it were a due diligence. Step 1. Identify the program and the nexus. Which program applies? Venezuela, Iran, Russia. Is there an SDN 50% rule in the chain with the seller, agent, ship owner, operators, charterers, terminal, bank, insurer? Is there a USA nexus with the banks, correspondents, companies, services? Step 2. Determine if you're already covered by a general license. Read the text carefully as if it were a contract. Scope, definitions, conditions, reporting, record-keeping, prohibitions. Step 3. If there's no applicable general license, you request a specific license. It's requested online at OFAC licensing, and it's evaluated on a case-by-case basis. What does a solid application include? A complete description of the transaction. Product, volume, Incoterm, port, laycan, logistics chain. All parties with name, address, roles, and corporate structure when it matters. Flow of funds, banks, currencies, accounts, who pays whom and why it's commercially reasonable. A control framework. Screenings, sanctions clauses, right to terminate, record keeping. Why the permit serves the public policy interest. OFAC looks at everything. Step 4. A paper trail that saves you in an audit even if you're under the general license. You have to act as if a correspondent bank were auditing you tomorrow. Sanctions matrix and screenings evidence, dates, prints, an internal legal memo. Why it fits into General License 46. or why we requested a case-by-case license. Contracts with sanctions and more guarantees, payment logs, and intervening banks. Point 4. I'll give you real examples, positive cases and failed cases. Positive cases, and yes, there were authorizations and operations. One is Chevron in Venezuela. OFAC issued licenses that enabled limited operations, the Chevron model, as a reference for how the United States authorizes limited activity without lifting everything. 2. Chevron, Eni, and other European companies have operated under specific license schemes or authorization frameworks according to sector reports and sanctions tracking. Point 3. Opening 2026 with GL46. Instead of one-by-one extensions, the United States applies a broader general license to enable trading and logistics under rules. There are also failed cases, revocation or non-renewal, wind down. Revocations of specific licenses with Venezuela. Reuters reported cases where OFAC revoked specific licenses to companies with a wind down period. This, for a trader, is the brutal reminder. Basically, a license is not perpetual and can change due to a political event. Or non-renewal, and the closing of the window, GL44, and wind down. US Congress documents describe how previous general licenses were not renewed and exit windows were given, wind down, basically leaving operations halfway if there was no contractual and logistical plan B. An operational reading, a sanctioned deal is always structured with 1. Suspensive condition of a valid license. 2. Off-ramps if it is revoked or not renewed. 3. Alternative banks and insurance, always within the law. And 4. An execution schedule that respects any wind down period. I'll leave you a short message for you as a trader on how this is played. First, you verify if there is an applicable general license. Today for Venezuela, you have to look at GL46. 2. If you fit, you operate exactly as the text says and keep evidence. 3. If you don't fit, you request a specific license through the portal with a full package, parties, payments, logistics, controls. 4. You never structure a contract as if the license were forever. OFAC can change the game board. Well, it wasn't a short video of 150 seconds as we usually do, but we consider it very important to take the necessary time to explain certain things that our clients have been asking us about very intensely these last few days. It is always important to rely on or be supported by professionals in the sector who deal with these types of situations every day and through the practice acquired. Have a more precise and profound reading of the regulations and due diligence methods. Consult us, comment. This is Trend Oil Vision, understanding oil like a professional. Thank you.